What up, what up, what up? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Smooth Order. Welcome to NWAP, Negroes with a Podcast episode. I have no idea what the number is, but it's the reality versus expectations episode where we talk about the reality of our lives versus the expectations of what the fuck we thought we was going to be.
You came in with so much intention and so much purpose just now.
I mean, I know I missed it last week. You know what I mean? Well, 2 weeks ago, I missed it, and then we had no episode last week, so I had to make sure people knew that we was coming back. You know what I mean? We was coming live and direct for that ass. Also, I am drinking wine out of the wrong wine glass, but I am drinking
the wrong
wine.
glass. Well, you better than me. I'm drinking it out the bottle.
Real.
But it's only $6, so that's all it deserves.
Right. This is only $9.
I'm drinking chocolate stout. So,
who are you, chocolate stout drinker? Wait. Who are you, chocolate stout drinker?
I'm Tunde, Talk 7.
Chocolate stout for a chocolate man. I'm Lextopia, by the way.
Lex, I feel like this is a good time to give Tunde all those compliments you weren't giving him when we weren't recording.
Yeah. So I just want everybody listening, everybody who will watch this will see it. But Tunde has an incredibly nice, straight haircut today. His beard is fresh, looking nice and chocolatey, refreshed, being at home with his family for the holidays. So, Tunde, you look great today. I just want you to know.
Thank you, Lex.
You're welcome.
That's fantastic. I just want everybody to know that Lexi talked about how good Tunde looked before she wished me a happy birthday on the podcast, despite the fact that my birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I hope nobody thinks I was really trying to sing, because that was my fake Ashanti, not singing very well voice. But G turned 30-something.
34? 33?
32, niggas?
My bad.
Everybody trying to make them old.
My bad.
What are you, a Sagittarius thing?
Yes, a Sagittarius, half man, half
There's like
horse.
nothing cool about y'all, right? You don't know. You're just cute.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know. But in honor of turning 32, I wanted to talk about the reality of my birthday and my age relative to my expectations, which is kind of how I actually ended up on this topic. I think because I feel like I put the topic in. I feel like I put the topic in a few weeks ago, and I might have been thinking about something else. But my birthday happening over the weekend actually makes for a pretty good reason too.
Yeah, that always happens around birthdays, especially when you start hitting 30s.
Yeah, so I'm like 32, right? And like where I'm at 32 isn't anywhere close to where I thought I was going to be at 32. And I kind of figure like for my peer group, like a lot of people maybe don't feel like they are where they are, where they thought they were going to be at their respective age. And I think you become kind of more, well, I know that you have a quarter life. I know that people have quarter life crises, which I pretty much attribute to when you first graduate college and you realize that whatever you thought the world was going to be, it ain't that.
Wow.
Right. Like when you 17, 18, you got all these ideas about how the world's going to be and how you're going to be and how your friends are going to be. Then you hit 25 and it's like you have like a fucking mental breakdown because it's like, wait, nigga, this ain't anything that I thought was going to be or whatever. But I want to talk about that. Like when I was 17 years old, which was now 15 years ago, whew, Jesus Christ, right? I had this idea that I was going to be married in my mid-20s. I was going to have like 3 kids by the time I was 30. I was going to be like a partner on the partner track at a law firm by the time I was like in my mid-30s or going to 40s. And it's like, yo, the only thing that I've managed to accomplish is the fact that I graduated law school. I didn't even pass the bar. There's no legal work in my future. Yeah. There's no partnership. There's no partner track. There are no children, and there will be no children for the foreseeable future. It's like, wow, fell very well short of expectations. What were some of the things that you guys wanted at that age or earlier in life that you feel like, you know, now that you're at that age, you didn't get any of those things?
I'm laughing because it's so funny because it's like everything. I thought that I was going to have 8 kids, and I thought I was going to have kids, be married and have kids by like 25, 26.
Are you Catholic?
That was 6 years ago. No. No. I thought I just wanted to have a lot of kids. No, actually, I wanted 0 kids until after I had my first boyfriend. Then I was like, oh, okay, like I'm kind of into the love and family, blah, blah, blah. I want to have a bunch of kids. I want to have as many kids as I can afford. That's what I was thinking. So I have no kids. I have no man. I have no husband. I have no wife. I have no pets. I don't even have a house, like, which is cool because I'm not super into houses, but I even live with my brothers. We just moved to across the country, and we decided, like, well, you know, he didn't even have a job moving out here. So it's like, well, you know, for both of our safety and because we get along, we're both like a couple years apart. We got a 3-bedroom apartment. So even thinking about that, it's like, damn, like I've still always had a roommate. And, you know, I'm 32. Not that I couldn't like go be out by myself like that. So I guess it's not too bad. But, you know, like I don't even have in my house, I don't have like, it's not homey. Like, you know, you go to some people's house and they got like shelves of pictures and artwork. Like I don't even put stuff up because I'm like, I might move any month. So I don't feel like I'm in a permanent place. Again, it's fine. It's just not what I thought. With work, I don't know how much expectation I have for work. I thought I was going to be working like in the government or be like an ambassador or some shit like that. So clearly I don't do that. Although my work is cool, so I'm not mad at that either. So as far as those things, yeah, none of that really happened for me.
What about you, Tune?
For me, I think when I was in high school when I was about the age you said, 17, 16, I thought that by the age I am now, which is 36, I would have 2 kids, be married, like living in like a really, really big house, have a couple cars, be working on my Nobel Prize in biochemistry. I thought I was gonna.
You said have a Nobel Prize?
Yeah,
that's real.
I thought I was gonna find a cure for sickle cell.
That's real.
Yeah, I don't have any of those things, obviously. I thought I was gonna be rich also, because I was gonna have a bunch of patents, but I was still gonna like give the cure out for free. So,
yeah, if I was getting a doctorate, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm gonna be rich. Like that's exactly what I would think.
Yeah, so
I ain't doing that shit for nothing.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't have a house. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I do have a PhD in biochemistry, but I'm currently not doing any research. I'm currently teaching. Yeah. So I don't have any of those things, and I'm not. Am I like disappointed by it? I can't say I am, because you know life happened. I realized that what's that saying? The best laid plans of mice and men. Like you can't just
one day. That's a classic.
Yeah, you can't just plan your whole life out like that, because things happen, and I think that I just learned to just roll with whatever life throws at me.
That's real, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to talk about a little bit about sort of like when did you I want to talk about when you let go of what you thought your life was going to be and you started accepting your life for what it is. And what I mean by that is like,
if you let go.
You said what?
I said if you let go.
Well, yeah, I was talking about y'all niggas, but I mean, I guess for the greater public, that would have worked too. But more so just kind of like at what point were you like, what sort of marker happened where, like you had this plan or you had this, it doesn't have to be a plan, just a list of goals that you wanted to accomplish by a certain age. And you didn't get to those things and it just became okay. It didn't feel like you were a failure, and I'm assuming that you might have felt like that at some point. So I kind of feel like everybody kind of goes through that. Am I really doing what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing kind of thing? Maybe failure might be a strong word. Feel free to substitute it for something else. But like kind of what age were you, or like what sort of catalyst happen to you? Or you just kind of like, you know what? This shit isn't going according to plan and that's fine. Like I'm completely okay with that. Anybody want to take that question?
I can go.
Go ahead.
I think maybe about my second or third year in grad school, when I sat down and I really realized how long get a PhD takes, I knew, one, I wasn't going to finish my PhD until I was 29. So me being married and having kids before 30, it wasn't going to happen unless, you know, I got a woman pregnant and married her before I graduated grad school, which that wasn't going to happen because I saw how, you know, classmates who were married, that shit can take a toll on your marriage. I was like, I don't want to do that. And then I realized how little PhDs actually make. So I knew I wasn't going to be rich unless I did actually find that cure. So.
And to find the cure, you got to be supported enough to be able to sit in the lab all day and like focus on that.
Exactly. So.
Right.
Yep. So I also, after my first 2 failed relationships, I was like, you know, I'm probably not gonna get married before I'm 30 because I also looked at my friends from high school who got married really young, and a lot of them got divorced before they hit 30. So I was like, maybe it's the best idea for me not, you know, to push this whole marriage thing if I'm not ready for it.
Lex?
I would say that it probably, as I've gone through life, like maybe the last 6 years or so, especially as I started to hit my 30s, I had to just start thinking differently because you can't ever be married to certain outcomes, right? Like, you know how people always say trust the journey and trust the process, but then they really don't trust that shit because that means the timing, like you don't control the timing of what happens, right? So like we still get frustrated, we still get impatient. But I think for me over time, I had to just make sure I was focusing on the things that were going well and focus on what was coming my way to take opportunity of that instead of trying to say, that's not what I want this. Because those things don't work. Like when you try to force it, like that shit, like you could tell like, oh, that's not for me. And then sometimes when you kind of let go, as I started to let go of certain ideas and let go of certain things that I thought were for me or for my life, I realized that just accepting what it was, like accepting that, okay, I'm just gonna have to run my own business, or accepting moving, or that I'm not in a relationship. When I accept that, now I really make the most of it, and I realize like it's better. Like the outcomes end up being better than what I thought I was gonna be in. So I think it's just a matter of like being able to go with the flow. And for me, like this year too is really when I just started accepting some of the things. And by accept, I mean like I stopped downing myself, because you can be like, okay, cool, like that didn't happen, but you still always think about that. Like you'll go back to retreating to that, man, I could have did this by now, I could have been this by now. But to stop saying that, and it's like, okay, but this is right now, like what's happening. So just living in this present space instead of kind of like that past and always in the future. And it's really hard to do, especially for me, but I'm always trying to like recenter myself back to the present. It's really, really hard for me, actually.
Not that's real. To answer the question, I think it took me a lot longer. I don't think I really truly let go of my expectations. So maybe like earlier this year. For a long time, I saw myself doing like anything. So when I was 17, I had all these dreams and stuff like that. And when I graduated from college the first time, I actually applied to law school and I didn't get in. So I went home for 2 years, and that was like a real big deal when I went home, because people were like, you go home, you stay home for a little bit, you start working, people end up not going back to school, you end up not doing what you want or whatever. And I'd heard that so many times during that 2-year break, but it didn't bother me because I was like, I had already made this plan to go to law school, so I'm gonna go. I get into law school. The first year that I'm in law school, I'm like, yeah, this isn't anything that I thought it was gonna be like. I frequently talk about how awful those 3 years of law school, just studying like the entire shit was or whatever. And I had actually thought about dropping out after the first year. And one of the main reasons I didn't drop out was because I didn't know what else I would do, because I had married my entire identity to going to law school. I never left the possibility of doing something else. Like at the time, I used to blog like a lot. I used to blog like real heavy before I went to law school. I blogged a lot when I was in law school too. I didn't know that people got paid for writing or people were, maximizing opportunities from blogging and stuff like that. But if I wasn't so hyper focused on going to law school and being a lawyer, that might have been an avenue that I could have done. But, like I said, like I had married my identity, I had married my future, I had married all of my hopes and dreams into going to law school and being a lawyer. Then when I graduated, I was like, all right, well, I wasn't really feeling like the whole law school experience. I'm not, I didn't pass the bar, it's not a big deal or whatever. But I did like writing, so I'm going to try to be like a freelance writer or whatever. So I tried the freelance writing thing. I struggled a lot through that. I ended up getting better and getting some better opportunities and stuff like that, but not quite where I wanted to go or whatever. But I was doing a lot of dictating on my career based on where I wanted to live. I was like, I want to move here. I want to live here. Then I'm going to get my writing career off the ground. Like I still wasn't leaving room or opportunity. I wasn't leaving room for anything else to happen. And I think earlier this year, I got a job at this marketing company to be a writer, to be like a full-time not stay at home, but full-time remote working writer. Like I had bought like all this stuff, for the home office at the crib. You know what I'm saying? You got a desk, two screens. You were ready. Bookshelf. Like I was ready. You know what I'm saying? And I lasted 7 weeks at that job. It wasn't the kind of writing that I wanted to do, but like I was a writer, quote unquote, like I was a full-time writer. And the job wasn't a good fit. So like after that, I was lost. I was like, dog, like I don't really understand like what's supposed to happen. I don't really get it. Like I don't understand like why it's so hard for me to to obtain these goals or whatever, because I'm doing everything that I can, but it's not really working out. And I think like so much terrible shit happened this year. I'll spare you the details. But I think when I turned 32, like I think I finally like looked at myself and I was like, look, man, can't predict the future. All you can do is take care of what's happening right now. And if you take care of what's happening right now, then at some point you'll eventually get to where you want to go. So I can honestly say that up until 2 days ago, because we're recording this, up until 2 days ago when I turned 32, because we're recording this podcast on a Sunday, I pretty much thought that I could still go by whatever life plan that I had or whatever plan that I tried to shift around. But as of this moment, man, I'm just, whatever happens, dude. If somebody offered me a job in Iowa and the shit is fire, I might just go to Iowa for a few years. I don't fucking know. I've never had a desire to live in Iowa, but just because it wasn't part of my plan don't mean that I can't do it.
Hey, listen, that's how I ended up in Nashville, and also how I ended up in Portland, though. Like, you never know.
You have to be open to like being able to adapt and change. I think that's where people get so bombarded and so like saddened and like have those issues when like something didn't work. Like you did so much to get this job and you got called back 5 times and you still didn't get it, and now you're like so messed up that you can't move forward. Like you just kind of get stuck in this place. So like you really can't be married to any of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it makes you. I think that a lot of the problem ends up with failure and stuff like that is because you're holding yourself up like this thing has to happen in this particular time period, and if it doesn't happen, then I failed. I mean, I had a writing job at a marketing company, not necessarily what I wanted to do, but I felt like, well, I got a writing job, I'm a writer, and I failed. So I was being dramatic at the time. I was like, man, this shit ain't never gonna work out. It's like I'm 31. Like niggas be getting book deals at 45 and shit. Like it's not that it's too late, but I guess it feels too late because it falls, it's short of what you saw yourself doing.
Or I think also, I don't know if it's true for you and Lex, but what I found myself doing in the past was I was comparing myself to my peers and seeing where they were at, and not realizing that everyone has their own struggles, and a lot of people, what they do is they just put forward the highlights of their life. Like, oh look, we just bought a new house. Oh look, we just had our second kid. Look, this new job I just got, but not knowing all the struggles that they endured behind closed doors. So I think that's also was a problem for me, comparing myself to a lot of my peers.
That's a good point. So let's talk about social media and how with social media now, I think sometimes it can cause us to be harder on ourselves in a similar manner, because you'll see things and then it don't even be real stuff, right? Like you don't see the full picture. So we never see full pictures. We just see what they want us to see, right? So like you said, you don't see how it happened, but you also don't even be knowing that it's true most of the time. So it's like we make up stories in our own head. So we have to like not make up stories in our own head.
Yeah, that's why, like, a lot of times, like, I know it's kind of petty of me, but when someone posts something like really great about their life, I'll just, like, let's say, for instance, I have a friend who says, look at this new job I got. Like, I'm so blessed, whatever, right? I just try to think about, yeah, that's great that you got a new job. I try to think about all the other jobs that didn't call you back, because
But you shouldn't think about that, right? Like,
yeah, you have to, because that's what happened. That's what happens. Like, let's say, for instance, let's say the new job I just got, right? I started working this job in August. I talk about that a lot, but I don't talk about, hey, I applied to like 4 other places and only got 2 callbacks from 2 jobs out of the 6 places that I applied to. I'm not gonna talk about those 4. I'm gonna talk about, hey, this is where I work now, and look at my great new job.
Yeah, actually, I do want to talk about that portion of it too. The comparison between yourself and what's happening with people on social media, and the things that don't get talked about, as Tunde just referenced, where it's like, I'm just going to talk about the good thing that happened. I'm not going to talk about all the other stuff that led up to that point. Do you guys think it's important to talk about that journey publicly, or do you maybe feel like that's not really anybody's business?
no, this is what I think. I think on both sides, as the person who posts and talks on social media, I think it's great for you to celebrate the great things. If I want to say, hey, I got a new job, I think that's perfectly fine. I do not think I have to say, man, I didn't get hired for this one, I didn't get hired for that one, every time I didn't. However, I think it is okay, or not that it's okay, because I think with the negative, take it as you will, right? Because some people overshare to a degree that they want to talk about the bad stuff just so then they can throw a cash app up there, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it gets to where people try to get all that the sympathy like retweets and sympathy like shares, and it's like, dog, all right, like at some point you're just on here just to be whining. But what it is that you be real, because I know some people who they'll post about, man, I own my own business, blah blah blah, and they don't tell you how they still have to get money from doing other stuff, or like they're mowing lawns in their neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's not a full story. So I think people should be okay telling more of a full story, but you don't have to down yourself. I don't think you have to put all that negative stuff out there. Just try not to be so fake about it. Like some people can say good stuff and it's like cool. Some people say these good things, but then they go so overboard about it that it's like, all right. But also as a consumer, I think it's important that, and it's harder to do it, but when you see things, like if you ever see somebody say something positive and you start to feel negative, like that's kind of a trigger that you're being a hater and you're kind of comparing, and you need to like take a step back from that and really just try to think about like comparing yourself to yourself and not what other people are going through because of the fact that you don't know the whole story.
Okay.
So like it's from both sides.
Right.
So basically you're saying I'm a hater.
If you, because I find myself doing it too. If somebody's like, man, finally I got a 6-figure job, blah blah, and you see that, you're like, fuck, man, like what am I not doing right? You know what I mean? But you shouldn't. You should be able to be happy for somebody winning.
Yeah. But
and when you're not, that's kind of sticking on you.
I think to answer G's question, I think it's a fine line, because you don't want somebody who gets on social media and announces their every win, because then it can be seen as, oh,
why not?
You're just gloating. Okay, so major milestones, that's cool, right? If you say, I just won $15 on a scratch-off ticket, like, do I really need to know that? Do I care?
But that's your problem, not theirs, Tunde. That's your problem.
Yeah,
that's you being like, man, I want to see you winning. That's you being a hater. But that's what I'm saying.
That's what
us.
I'm not saying it's not my problem. That's what I mean. Do I really need to know that? I don't want to know that.
It ain't about you want to know that. It's about you let it make you feel bad about yourself when you see all these million good things. That's what it is.
I don't know.
Because when stuff really doesn't matter to you, you can just scroll past it and it's like, cool. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you don't have to be like, wow, that's awesome every time they say any little thing. But like, if you really didn't care, you just be like, okay, it's cool. Scroll.
All right, so what about the other end where people all they do is talk about like their pitfalls?
All they do is complain?
Yeah.
I think that gets old because they're complaining instead of trying to actually get help in the right, like in the direction they need to get something. Like what's some examples for that?
Oh, I got fired from my job.
That's people being like depressed. I mean, somebody gets fired. Okay, you got fired, dog. Like I ain't mad at you for like feeling like you want to say that or talk through it, I guess.
But if that falls in line with a long list of things that you talk about, like I can see how that can get old, and I can see how I don't think you're necessarily a hater if all you do is talk about if you talk about it either way. If you announce all your wins or all your losses, I can see how I can get tired on both sides.
You know, I was thinking about, I think, and this is my opinion, so I'm not saying this was like an authoritative voice that this is the only way to do this thing. I think when it comes to sharing the trials and tribulations that you have, I think you should only share things, if you're going to share them, I think you should only share them in the context of what you learn from them and what other people can learn from them, right? And what I mean by that is I talk about when something good happens. I don't talk about it in specifics. I'll be like, yo, just got this dope job, you know, blah, 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 whatever. Or, you know, just got a dope opportunity, blah, blah, whatever. But when things aren't going right or haven't gone right, once I get to a good point, I talk about the shit that happened before it. But I talk about it in the context of, look, this is what I've learned. This is how I was feeling. If you're a person feeling this particular way, don't feel bad. This is perfectly normal for how you feel. Like when I was unemployed, and when I was unemployed and I finally like really got a job, I talked about unemployment a lot because I knew a lot of people were unemployed. A lot of people were going through it, and I just didn't really see, like during that time, Twitter was just kind of like real different. They weren't even doing threads when I was talking about this kind of shit. But just I wanted people to know, like, especially for men, because as a man, your employment is tied to your manhood, and then you feel like you're unemployed. You feel like you're unemployed. You feel like you're less of a man, and then you feel like you're less of a man, and all these other things just sort of start crushing down on you. So I wanted to talk open and honestly about being unemployed because I wanted people to understand, like, there are things that you can do so that these things don't become like a building block of negativity for one on top of the other. Like, you being unemployed is not a sign of a sign or marker of yourself, of your worth as a person. It's just your job status. Because
people need to know that it's okay to not have the stress of being like, oh, I gotta say something good today, or I need people to praise me today. Like, if shit's going down, it's just going down. Like, it's going down for everybody. That's the thing. And all it takes is for somebody like UG to talk about that for everybody else. And that's what happens. The floodgates open. Everybody's like, yeah, man, when I was unemployed, this happened, or like, it was hard for me, or I was depressed. And even when we have certain episodes, you see people do that too. Where it's like, it's okay to have like conversation around it. But I think a lot of people aren't sure they have a safe space for it either, sometimes. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's what I was saying when I was talking about when you share things, you need to share, when you share negative things, you need to be okay that people are going to try to use those negative things against you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't share some negative shit that you're, that you're sensitive about. Excuse me. Don't share no negative shit that you're sensitive about, because people are ugly. And
they're gonna put the slam book.
Right, they're gonna throw your shit in the slam book. They're gonna throw your shit on a message board. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna talk about you on a podcast. Niggas going to take swipes at you in their blogs. Like, don't share no shit that you're not okay with people talking about. Right? Like when I didn't pass the bar, I was cool with talking about not passing the bar. People didn't find out from other people that I didn't pass the bar. I said I didn't pass the bar. I wasn't ashamed of that. Right?
You can handle it.
Right. Well, it's not a big deal to not pass the bar the first time you take it. A lot of people don't pass the bar the first time they take it. So it's not a big deal. And if you're talking negatively about me about not passing the bar, that means that you didn't go to law school. So your opinion on the topic doesn't even matter anyway. Right. But I know how to compartmentalize comments like that. So it's just like, don't bother me. But I know that they fuck with other people like that.
Here's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, you say that with, you saying be okay with people like using like your losses against you. People can also use your wins against you too. Because let's say you're in a great relationship, right? And you always talk about this relationship, and you
need to be on the low. And
you happen to break up, right? It's always gonna be people like on the sideline waiting for you, like to like when the day comes, like for you, like let's say you break up or something does go wrong in your relationship. People are gonna have lots of things to say, and that goes for not just relationships, for any like good news you may share.
Yeah,
man, but with that relationship stuff, like you're right. Like I really, more and more, I see the importance of, you know what, you don't know what people are gonna come at you about. You don't even know what's gonna happen with your relationship. Like, let your relationship be your relationship. I think that is kind of important to not have all over. Like, there's a girl on my timeline right now who 2 weeks ago it was, oh, I had the best boyfriend ever, and now the last 3 days it's been, well, I could find another one. Oh, and then in the next morning it's like, oh, man, these days are so hard. And by the end of the evening it's, well, I got me another one coming over right now, and it's up and down, and it's like, what are you doing, dog? Just like step back and like let yourself heal, let yourself, you know what I mean, like go through the feelings, whatever. But if niggas ain't been in relationships for like a long time, like you really, I don't know, that kind of shows you like that's the whole center of their being, kind of, I think. And to me that's kind of a sign, like a little flag.
You know what's funny about that? There's like a lot of ways that particular situation can go, and there's a lot of angles to consider when you talk about stuff like that, right? So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna phrase this. Okay, so let's take the person on your timeline, for instance, talking about their relationship. So here's viewpoint number one, her viewpoint. I'm just talking about shit that's going on with me, and I just need a way to verbalize those things, and whatever it is that people take away from those tweets is not my business. I don't care. I'm gonna tweet what I want. So if one day I'm high on this nigga, and the next day I'm low on this nigga, and the day after that I'm kind of mid on this nigga, then that's just what it is. That's one viewpoint, right? Second viewpoint is the person watching that who can't relate. Why the fuck is this bitch always tweeting about her boyfriend and they highs and they lows, and why she can't never just keep this shit off the goddamn timeline? This is not what Twitter is for. We do not need to know the intricate details of your relationship, and I wish she cut that shit out, right? And then another viewpoint of a person who can kind of relate to what's going on, being like, watching that stuff and being like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know what it's like to be in a relationship and to feel like that, and to feel high on this nigga one day and low on this nigga the next day and mid on that nigga the other day. So, you know, I appreciate her tweeting how she feels, because, you know, like, it's making me sort of understand kind of what my thought process was at the time I was going through something similar, right? Listen, it's not, all these things end up coming together, right? And creating like a reality. So you have what she's tweeting in her reality, what one person is consuming who doesn't like that in their reality, and what the other person is consuming and they do like that, and that's their reality. I always find that stuff really, really interesting, because I do get annoyed by that kind of shit. But also I realize that maybe it's not for me. Or like, maybe I'm not talking about you in particular. I'm just talking about in general. Like, maybe this thing is not for me and this thing is for her, so I should allow her the space. I should allow her the space, but I'm also allowed to be annoyed.
That's real.
at what's happening.
Just like with Tunde. And like, you know, it's like with me. It's like, okay, girl, and you know, you keep scrolling, whatever. I think what makes it hard for me with social media is, and this is me thinking I'm a know-it-all, and you know how you think you've gone through stuff and you've grown and you can see right through what's written and you can kind of see the emotion behind it and stuff. So that's me, right? And sometimes it's not always a good thing where it's like, I think I know more about everybody else than they know. But sometimes you see things and you're like, girl, like what you really need to do is this, or like this isn't the way to go through it, kind of. But then it's like, I guess who am I to tell you that? Or it's a sign to me. It's like, I can see all this hurt when you're like, you know, just like Beyonce said, irreplaceable, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, girl, this is so much hurt. But you're saying it like you're hyped and you want somebody to be like, yes, girl. And all I see is hurt. And it's like, and I think you're doing this because your man is online, of course, because you tagged him in a zillion things. Your man is online seeing this. I'm like, he probably see, I don't know if he sees a hurt or if he's sitting here like get mad and being in his feelings too. But I just think the best thing to do is just like back up, like write that down, like write you some letters that you're not gonna send, or like try to have a journal. Like I think that's okay. Just because, and then you look stupid when you talking all this stuff, and next week it's gonna be a picture of y'all again. Like we know how we do. Like I know how I do, and you trying to figure stuff out, and you keep kind of have a few mistakes and go back in and out and in and out. And it's like, yo, that doesn't need to be out there. Like, let yourself figure it out.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be the person that's always jumping back and forth. Like, just wait till everything is over before you get to talking, because it's only a matter of time. Whenever you do things and they're fresh, 9 times out of 10, you're going to regret saying anything while it was still fresh, because when you want to, it's like when you
draft. Yeah, that's what I do. When I'm in my feelings and I know I'm in my feelings, I'll type it out and I'm like, all right, send it to draft. I'll look at my draft the next day like, I was tripping. Like, I would never actually put this shit out.
It's actually a good idea. Tunde?
What's the saying? Twitter ain't your friend?
Yeah, it's not.
Them niggas not your friends, boy.
Not your friends.
Listen, when they dropped that
we should name the episode.
Week,
we should name the episode that shit Twitter. These niggas is not your friends.
I mean, yeah. When I saw that slam book, and it was late at night, as always, it's always third fucking shift. Thank God I'm on the West Coast. I looked at all the screenshots I could find. First of all, the link was down, so I said, cool. I looked at the screenshots. I said, do I see my name? Nope. I said, you know what? After all the sexual misconduct stuff that happened, after all these things I keep seeing, right? It's getting real uncool to be like super duper popular, and I'm putting that in air quotes, the super duper popular niggas on Twitter, because all these meetups and I'm glad I'm not in DC, because maybe I'd have been more around some of these people, but all these meetups and the more people see you and want to look for stuff and analyze you, it's like, dog, I'm good on that, man. And it almost makes me think to like not put everything out there crazy, or to not even mess with certain people, you know what I mean? Or even thinking about who you message, because people's photos was out there and stuff. And it's like, it's not a good environment, I don't think.
Tunde?
What slam book were you talking about? I have no
idea. So
we're not gonna talk about that bullshit.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about it. But basically, somebody blogged some stuff about naming people and saying bad stuff about them. Basically, you know how they do that every few years.
Okay.
But I think we kind of got off the topic of like how to deal with expectation and reality.
No, that's cool.
Oh yeah, that's part of it though. That's part of it, because social media is it makes us upset sometimes when we see shit. It's like, damn, that's what I was trying to do, or when you find yourself spending too much time putting out a whole fake persona about what you think you want to be doing or what you should be doing, but you're really not. Like that's tiring, man. It's tiring to be lying all day online.
Yeah,
I don't see how people do it.
I don't know either.
And you don't gotta be sitting there crying and complaining all day. But I just get quiet sometimes. It's like, yo, take some space, take some time.
Take solace in the silence. Tunde?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and there's no point in fronting on social media. I'll tell you in a quick second, I'm broke. Listen. If you expect me to follow you out, it's not gonna happen.
My dog said he ain't paying no bills. He ain't sending no cash app.
Listen, it's not
it's not gonna be no Fenty Beauty coming in UPS.
$200 days, it ain't happening. So, just like I said at the beginning of the show, like it's been a while now, maybe a couple years, that I've learned that to just take life as it comes and be happy with that, because life could always be much worse. Like,
always. Say, I hate that saying too, like, oh, it could be worse for some things, right? Like with little shit, it's like, all right, stop complaining. But if it's like, yo, I got kicked out of school, well, it could be worse. Like, bitch, when I got kicked out of school, like, that don't help me. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
yeah, like this is still bad.
Flint water is dirty. What could be worse? It could be, you know, in Africa having to walk 20 miles. Bitch, my water is fucking brown. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think when people say it could be worse, they forget that things are still bad right now. Yeah. Like, this is still awful right now. It's crazy as fuck, man. So, yeah.
I'm glad I'm not popular on social media. Like,
I don't even think I'm popular on social
weird,
media.
Man.
I think I'm infamous. I don't think I'm famous.
Man, it's like you really, that's when you know things are different, when somebody tries to crack your website or your email address. Like, that's when you're like, well, this is some different shit now.
Yeah, that's when I want to pull the pistol out on it.
This is different.
Yeah, like when it's just online slander, like, it's cool. It don't bother me. You know, it doesn't bother me. Like, I mean, what other people think of me isn't really my business. But like, once niggas get the hacking emails and shit, that's when I be wanting to pull the chopper up on niggas.
Have we talked about solutions?
No.
Or like,
maybe we'll talk about solutions next week. Sometimes niggas just need to sit with the problem. That's how you need to sit with the problem. It is. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll talk about some of the solutions to some of these problems. But right now, sit with the problems. Nigga, sit with the problems.
Sit with the problems, nigga.
NWAP.
Y'all tell us, though. Let's let the people tell us, like, what things did you think you would? Yeah, what are you some things that you thought would have happened for you by now? Because every day we get online and 23-year-olds is like, man, I'll be married in a couple years and I'll never do this when I get a boyfriend. And it's like, oh, okay, bitch. Like, we'll see. you know the ones I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh, I would definitely wash my king's feet every night when I get a boyfriend. I'm like, okay. All right, wait till you get cheated on just like everybody else, and then it's gonna be different.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing that. Maybe we can read a couple on the show next week, or
if we make it a continuing.
Yeah.
All right. So before we close the show out, just to reiterate what Lex said, say it one more time, Lex, because I definitely don't know how to say it.
I would say tweet NWAPcast and let us know what you thought you would be doing now, or what you thought you would have now that you don't. Things that didn't work out in the time that you thought they would work out in. And if you have a good story where that didn't work out, but guess what? You got something else that was better than you thought, or how you cope with it, whatever. Because we could definitely do this in part 2 where we can talk about your responses.
Yep. And if you're not, and if you don't want to send that on Twitter, send it to the email at nwapcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
Right. Well, Royalties versus Expectations episode, NWAPcast. I'll let y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.